Today I wanted to do something that I've been meaning to do for a very long time, and that is to address the red pill ideology. Claim number two, men must become high value to attract and keep women. So this is an extension from what we just talked about, this idea that men need to be in that top 20% to attract a woman, that they're measured by status, money, physique, social dominance, and things like that. And this is based off of the hypergamy principle. So the reason they believe this is that if you need to be in the top 20% to attract a woman, then there's like the sexual marketplace, and you have to improve yourself to increase yourself into that top 20% and give yourself more options, better chances. If hypergamy is true, then this would make sense. The scientific counterclaim is what we've already talked about, is that true relationship satisfaction is about traits that have nothing to do with all of that. Emotional intelligence, having a secure attachment style, mutual support of each other, putting in that equal work into the relationship, having shared experiences, having a shared value system. None of this has anything to do with a hierarchy. You're not in competition with other people. Like if I have shared values with someone else, it's not like I'm competing with other people because everyone's got different values. It's just me and her clique. Nobody else can compete with a clique. Even if value is the thing, value is subjective. All right, everybody's into different stuff. There are some women who only want rich guys. There are some women who hate wealthy people. There are women who prioritize authenticity, sense of humor, emotional connection over things like status. And these are all things that any guy could develop. He's not in competition with anyone. You can have your own sense of humor. That's not a competition. There are people out there who you don't think are funny at all, but somebody else thinks is hilarious. It's totally subjective. My own personal view of this, through my own experience and with coaching others for such a long time, is that yes, like I said before, you will have to compete if that's the criteria that you compete on. If you make it about status and wealth and power and good looks, then that's what you'll be competing on. You'll be in the marketplace with all the other people in the marketplace. But if you go up to someone, you create a deep emotional connection with them and you see eye to eye on core values, and they feel heard when they listen to you and they're interested in your philosophy, there is no competition anymore. You ever notice when people get into that bubble and there's just no chance for anybody else? You might have seen it at a party or some event where a guy and a girl have just gotten into that little sort of high friction bubble that, like, they're together tonight. Like, no one's going to get in the way of that. Like, nobody else has a chance. That doesn't come from status. That doesn't come from the hierarchy. Yes, women will be attracted. Yes, they will swoon when the celebrity with the good looks walks into the room. But not every woman wants to be in a relationship with that guy. All right, just like not every man wants an Instagram model for a wife. All right, we all have different preferences. And even when we have attraction preferences, that's not the same as relationship preferences. Like, I can be attracted to all kinds of women based on the way they look, but I don't want to marry almost any of them. I don't want to be with them, and it goes both ways. Most of the women I've spoken to, they have gone through a phase where they were overwhelmed by what they're attracted to, and then they learn some hard lessons. Those guys who are all about status and wealth and physique are usually quite psychopathic and narcissistic. They're horrible to be in relationships with. They're disloyal. They're emotionally blocked. Once women get over the age of 30, they've had enough of all that, in the most part, and they prefer something a bit more real. And I'm telling you right now, in my own personal experiment and working with others, being real is the trump card. If you're the most real person in the room, you have no competition. If everything that comes out of your mouth is radically honest and you have no shame about who you are, it's a unit of one. You're in competition with no one. Even if the other guy's really good looking and rich and all that, he's going to look like a fraud next to you. It's going to actually lower his attractiveness when he's putting on the show and it becomes really obvious because you're not. So why do red pillars believe this stuff? It's the same as what I was talking about before. When you stay in the same cluster, when you play the game, then you will be affected by the rules of the game. If you're in there like using seduction and your wealth and status and everything to try and win over ADD club girls and OnlyFans prostitute type girls, then yeah, you are going to be in competition. It is going to be a sexual market value competition. But if you're real and you're looking for healthy, secure women in all the right places, you're not going to be in a competition. Once you click with someone, the competition ends. Nobody else can compete with that. It doesn't matter what else they got going on. But most red pillars have stayed in the game, and so they only have the experience of the game. They only know what it's like to be with women who are like that and to engage with women from that place. They've always been in the competition. They don't know that there's a whole world outside the competition where the competition doesn't happen. The alternative, I'd suggest, if you want to focus on one thing, radical honesty. Instead of trying to prove that you're awesome, reveal that you're not. Show that you're ordinary. Show that you have insecurities and weaknesses. Be proud of your strengths as much as your failures. Let everything go. Speak to women like they're your best friend. You got nothing to hide already. Stop trying to get with them. Let them choose. Just go, this is what I'm like. Do what you want with that information. And that, ironically, is very attractive. And there's no competition for it. She'll either love you for being like that or she won't. It's already predetermined by her preferences. And I don't mean her attraction preferences, but her deeper connection preferences. Point number 3, female nature is solipsistic and manipulative. Basically, it's this idea that women are inherently self-centered, selfish. They're driven by emotions just wildly. They're prone to rationalizing their selfish behavior. Basically, they're evil. And all they care about is themselves and their own pleasure. Where do they get this information from? A lot of cherry picking, generally speaking. Studies that they saw in some magazine once, pop psychology interpretations of deeper evolutionary psych that you can't draw conclusions like that from. And of course, the so-called field experience, where they go out approaching random women, usually nightclub type women, and they portray them as disloyal and flaky. Kind of like if I interviewed 100 women, I found 3 that were like this, and then I only showed you videos of those 3, and I just did this over and over again, you get the impression that all women were like this. So some women are, definitely. So are some men, because some humans are, okay? Some humans are solipsistic and manipulative. Some humans are highly psychopathic. They have antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. It's prevalent in both men and women. In fact, it's more prevalent in men. A man is more likely to have a personality disorder that makes him manipulative and solipsistic or self-centered. So if anyone's doing this, it's the guys. And that's basically what the science says. The science says there's just no backing for this claim. There's no real data saying that this is true. If anything, women are more likely to be empathetic. They're more likely to be able to take on the perspective of somebody else and care about somebody else's needs more than their own. And both genders can be self-serving. A view of women as uniquely manipulative is just confirmation bias. If you looked at humans, you'd see a certain percentage of humans are highly manipulative, and a certain percentage are highly empathetic, and so on, and it's got nothing to do with gender, essentially. That's if you want to actually look at neuroscience and real science rather than just watching the whatever podcast. Now, I've personally worked with a lot of very manipulative people working in criminal justice, and yeah, my experience is much the same. I mean, most criminals are men, and most of the crimes that involve manipulation, con artistry, psychopathy, also men. So it stands to reason that their gender relationship with being manipulative is represented in the criminal world. Obviously, the more manipulative and deceptive you are, the more likely you are to get into trouble with the law. But what I found is that people are manipulative. It's not a gender thing. People are self-centered. It's not a gender thing. But if anybody's more likely to care about your feelings, more likely to care about getting your needs met, it's going to be a woman, not a man. So why do the red pillars believe this? Again, this relieves responsibility. If we can write women off as this subspecies that cannot be dealt with in terms of emotional connection because they are just psychopathic narcissists, then we can justify treating them as objects. We can justify using manipulation ourselves to deceive them into getting our needs met. We can justify transactional relationships. We don't have to look at them as human. It's just dehumanizing them. That's all it is, so that we can get away with treating them badly and not taking responsibility for our own flaws. Now, I have no doubt that many red pillars feel that all women are like this because all the women in their life have been like this. But this is that cluster effect bias. They've only been dating a very small niche of women because that's the only ones they're able to attract or get anywhere near because the healthy women are staying away from them. I think the key here to breaking this belief and looking at challenging it is actually quite a practical one. You need to go to different places to meet women. Okay. It's not in the online apps, not in the nightclubs or the bars, not even street approaches. You want to go to places with people with a bit of depth and artistic creativity might go, like dance classes, or political meetup groups, or philosophy studies, or anything where somebody who is just self-centered narcissist with no interest in other people just wouldn't want to go. I mean, just look at the logic. Who's more likely to be a nurse, a man or a woman? A role that requires nothing but empathy and caring for other people. If women are really solipsistic and selfish, why the fuck would they do that for a job? It makes no sense. But if you've had a terrible mother and terrible luck with women, or not luck, but terrible decision making with women, and you've ended up with, it only takes to have a few women like this in your life, one that divorces you and cuts you in half, and suddenly you're going to feel like all women are like this. There's over 3 billion women in the world. How many have you met?